Welcome back to The Haunted Beard, everybody. My name is Jake. Thanks for joining me. Today, I am continuing my Alien series of reviews, and I'm talking about the sequel from 1986, directed by James Cameron, Aliens. And with the original film, Ridley Scott gave us one of the all-time great sci-fi horror films, and with the sequel, James Cameron gives us one of the all-time great sci-fi action films. This is such an entertaining and fun movie to watch. I thoroughly enjoy it. It had been a while since I had watched this, so it was such a joy to rewatch again. And what's really cool here is what Cameron is able to do and take, the character of Ripley within the alien world and give us just kind of a completely different flavor, and really taking this thing from what was more predominantly a horror film in the original to what is now more of a very action-heavy film. And man, this decision that he makes and how he approaches this and how he executes the very action-heavy film is fantastic. And as I said for Alien, it's one of my all-time favorite horror films. This is one of my all-time favorite action films. Where in the original film, you get a little bit more patient, slower-paced movie, focusing a lot more on mood and atmosphere and horror elements. Aliens gives you obviously more of an action-focused film that is really just an all-out white-knuckle thrill ride at certain points. But what Cameron does too is throughout all the action, he's able to give good character moments as well, and so it really helps the film beyond just sort of this simple surface-level action movie. So the film picks up, and Ripley is discovered in the escape pod by this salvage crew. And they bring her into the space station, and she finds out that she has been in hibernation for 57 years. And the opening 15 minutes of the movie does a pretty good job just kind of getting us caught up, sort of filling in the gaps between both films and helping establish the new plot and the new story moving forward. So we get kind of some exposition. She sits in on this meeting. They don't really believe any of her account of the alien. We find out that there are these colonies that are living on the planet LV-426. And not too long after this, they lose contact with one of the colonies, and so they want Ripley to go back in there with a team of Marines to go investigate and figure out what in the world is going on. And this film being nearly 40 years old now, it is also another one that holds up surprisingly well. The practical effects, the special effects all hold up extremely well. I could nitpick. There's a couple shots where you can tell that were done on a green screen, but I'm not going to do that because 99% of this thing holds up extremely well, and the visuals are pretty fantastic. Now, as I mentioned, Cameron does a good job with the characters here because with the exception of Ripley, everybody else in the film is a brand new character who we are just now being introduced to. I like what he does with Ripley's character as we get to know her more. I think one of the best aspects of the entire film is giving Ripley this sort of maternal role, and you kind of see the protective mother aspect come out of her as it relates to the character of Newt. Really, really good stuff. But I also like some of the other characters that we get here. I like the character of Hicks. I think Michael Biehn is really great in this. Bill Paxton is fantastic. I think he's hilarious. His character is the right combination and a really good balance of kind of this meathead tough guy, but he's kind of lovable because he's funny, but also kind of a goofball at the same time. I love Bill Paxton in this. I think he's great. He makes me laugh a handful of times throughout the film. I also like the character of Bishop, and I really like the approach to what they did with this character. I think Lance Henriksen's performance is really solid, but I like that it introduces this element of doubt, and obviously that comes largely from Ripley because of her experience with Ash, and so she's immediately very hesitant and very untrusting of his character. And so I like that it kind of plants that seed of doubt of can we really trust him or not. It makes his character more interesting. And Henriksen just has that look about him to where, he's got those eyes and you're not really sure, like, this is a guy that can we trust him or not? But I really like what they do with his character as well. And I also think Paul Reiser's character fits the film well. He's not obviously a likable character. He's a total scumbag, but he fits the story well. He adds a nice kind of element, an additional sort of antagonist sort of within the group kind of thing. And so he's just another good character that works well within the story. So Ripley and the Marines land on LV-426 and go investigate. We get a nice kind of suspenseful sequence here as they're going into the little colonies and investigating, and they see some evidence of the aliens there. The film does a good job kind of building some suspense here. They then run into Newt, and we're introduced to her character. And then we get the first scene where the aliens attack. And this is just a great scene. I love how Cameron implements the sort of camouflage effect that we saw in the original film, especially at the very end when the alien's hiding in the wall of the escape pod. And Cameron kind of does that here as well, to where they go into this little area in one of the colonies, and they're showing up all over on their little radar detector there, but they don't know where they are, and then they start coming out of the walls. Great scene. It obviously turns into, you know, all-out hell gets unleashed on these guys, and only a handful of the Marines end up getting away and escaping. And they escape thanks to Ripley's fast decision making. And here is again where we kind of get more good character moments out of Ripley. We see she's smart, she's decisive, she knows how to get things done, she's able to make fast decisions and good decisions under pressure. And again, it just adds to Ripley's character, and she's phenomenal. There's a scene that happens about 80 minutes in between Ripley and Newt that is, I think, one of the highlight scenes in the film. In a film that's very loud, very action heavy. I like that the film slows down to have some kind of quieter moments like this, where Ripley is just trying to put Newt down to sleep. And it's a great scene because it's more character focused and we just get more character development. I really like the dialogue from Newt here as this young child who's trying to process just the horror and trauma that she's been through over the last however many weeks or months she's been there all alone by herself and everything. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of some conversations that I've even had with my own daughter, where, like, you know, you can only protect a child's innocence for so long until they kind of start realizing that the world is a cruel place. There's that line of dialogue where she's like, you know, my mom said that monsters aren't real, but they are real, aren't they? And it's just, man, it's like one of those things that you kind of, your heart sort of breaks for this poor little girl sort of thing. But just a great little moment there between those two characters. And as if this movie wasn't good enough up to this point, let me tell you, about the last 45 minutes of Aliens is about as perfect as you can get from action movie making. It is absolutely phenomenal. It starts with the facehugger attack with Ripley and Newt in the little room there, and they're trying to fend off the facehuggers. Such a fantastic scene, so well directed, so intense and scary. And then this scene's followed up where they lose power and everything is glowing red. And man, this scene's so great. The moment when Bill Paxton is holding the radar and, you know, he's counting down how many meters that they're getting closer and closer and closer, and they can't see him, and they're like, where are they? What's going on? They should be in the room by now. And then Ripley looks up, and of course, you know, Hicks gets up there and pushes open the little ceiling tile, and you see them all coming in. Oh, man. It's just one of those moments where I can't help but smile and just kind of laugh, because sometimes movies are just so fun and you're having so much fun watching them, you kind of just start laughing, and that's one of those moments. It's just fantastic. And then this sequence is followed up where Ripley has to go rescue Newt, and man, it's just peak action filmmaking. It is pure adrenaline. This whole sequence is phenomenal. When you finally get the reveal, I love too what Cameron does when Ripley, she gets Newt back, and then she figures out that she's standing in like this little field full of eggs, and the sound drowns out and it gets quiet, and the camera starts panning over as she's slowly realizing she's looking at the queen alien, and then you get the reveal of it. Man, it's another one of those moments. It's iconic, and it's just like, this is why I watch movies. It's like the movie magic feel. It just makes you so happy. It's so entertaining and so much fun. And if all that isn't great enough already, the film drops another banger of a sequence where we get the whole showdown between Ripley and the Queen Alien, as we found out that the Queen Alien hitched a ride on the escape pod. And Ripley comes out in the frickin' yellow robot machine. I don't even know what it's called, but it's awesome looking. And of course, we get the now famous line,
"Get away from her, you bitch!"
And then Ripley does work on the Queen Alien. And when I say this is a white-knuckle thrill ride, I mean that literally. I was sitting on my couch with my fist clenched, just, you know, in this very tense position. I've seen the movie before. I know how it ends. But when they fall down into that little escape hatch and she opens it up and is, you know, trying to escape up the ladder, I mean, what else is there to say? It's just fantastic. It is absolutely wonderful. I love it. It's adrenaline. It's intense. It's nerve-wracking. It's thrilling. It's whatever other word you want to use. It's great stuff. And there you go. Aliens, man. It is one of the greatest sequels of all time. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it. It is pure entertainment and such a fun movie to watch. And still holds up extremely well to this day, and it really complements the original film. But I like how different it is just in terms of some of the style and the tone and stuff like that. But it is just extremely well done, and it's a whole lot of fun. Those are my thoughts on Aliens. Like always, hit me up down below. Would love to hear your opinion of this thing and what you love so much about it. That is all I got for you today, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Greatly appreciate it. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.